Hi, this is Paul Palmer. Today I want to talk about time zones. Maybe an unusual topic, but it's one that's quite relevant to pharmaceuticals. So the first thing that you have to consider with time zones is how you communicate. So many of the supply chains around the world are through different time zones. If you're in America and you're purchasing from China, your API, maybe it's processed en route somewhere else on the way. You need to be careful that you can actually communicate with the people that you want to work with. It can be difficult to actually resolve a problem. Maybe there's some documentation that you need and it's stuck in customs, but you can't get it because they're closed. Another thing to consider, shipping details. So when the load is loaded onto whatever is carrying it, so you might go onto the lorry first, then you might go to a storage location, you might then go to a bonded warehouse, then you might go fly somewhere, another bonded warehouse, and out the other end. Well, each of those stages are likely to be registered or logged. And you have to bear in mind that the likelihood is that they're all logging it in their own local time zone. So sometimes it can be quite difficult to work out the actual path of the product that you're shipping. Now, most of the time, this doesn't have a significant impact, especially if you find that the tracking information from your temperature loggers are all satisfactory. However, on the occasion that you find you've got a problem with your temperature data, maybe you've got a high temperature or a low temperature, you then have to consider, well, which time zone was the logger set up in the first place? Does the time that it starts reflect the same time as the documentation that you've been provided with? If it doesn't, is there a difference in time zone that you need to take into account? Then look at the excursion. The logger won't update for the local time, so you need to compare the times when it was taken from one shipping courier, aircraft, whatever it's been transported on. Maybe it's on the tarmac waiting to be loaded. Maybe it's gone into customs and they've opened it. Now, sometimes it can be quite difficult to work out the time zone differences between which location it was in and the time zone that you've got on your temperature data. So you need to be really careful. Often the best way is to work out the actual transit path, and how long each stage takes. Then work from the beginning, matching up the start time of your logger with the actual location that you knew it was at certain times along the way. But even that, it can be quite difficult. On arrival, then you need to check when you actually stop it. And you can use that sometimes to work backwards instead. There's always a way, but it can be quite difficult. So, I'm saying for now, be careful about your time zones. And if you are making a decision, make sure you've verified that the time zone that you're working from is actually accurate. It's what you feel that it is. It's what you've identified. Because we all live in different time zones, and many of us don't have the actual changes in our clocks at the same time. So it may be that the one that's registered is an hour different or 2 hours different to what you think it is. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks, Paul Palmer.